In the previous episode, I said that schizophrenia is not caused by moral or character flaw or bad parenting. Let's uncover the actual causes of schizophrenia in this video. According to the World Health Organization, schizophrenia affects 24 million people worldwide, which is like 0.32% of the world population. More recent research suggests that it's actually between 0.5 to 1% of the world population. And if you ask me personally, I would say coming up with an exact figure is quite challenging, because how could we really account for so many people who never even get diagnosed? And when we talk about the impact is not just felt on the person who is diagnosed with it. The impact is felt throughout our whole society, from immediate family to friends, colleagues, even neighbors. Basically, everyone around the person with mental illness requires a better understanding so that they can understand the person better and know how to react in which situations and be of help instead of being agitated or negatively affected. This is why I believe that it's important to build a holistic understanding about it at a societal level, and not just stop at educating the person who has the illness. I mean, this program itself is my small step in the direction of building a better understanding about it in our societies. I hope you would also take your steps, however big or small, towards that goal. Now, coming back to who develops it, the general rule of thumb is that schizophrenia begins in young adulthood, and the onset is often earlier in men than in women. That is, in case of the men, the onset could be between their teens and mid-20s, while for women, it's often in their 20s or later. That said, people can still experience a psychotic episode at much younger or older ages, or as part of other disorders or illnesses that they may have. For instance, older adults with neurological conditions such as Alzheimer's may be at a higher risk of developing schizophrenia. So, why does it really happen? Is it some kind of trauma that the person has gone through? Genes, substance abuse? Some people even wonder if it's bad parenting. Well, honestly, science has still not reached a stage to exactly pinpoint one definite cause of schizophrenia. Quoting from the WHO, research has not identified one single cause of schizophrenia. It is thought that an interaction between genes and a range of environmental factors may cause it. Psychosocial factors may also affect the onset and course of schizophrenia. Heavy use of cannabis is associated with an elevated risk of the disorder. Now, a lot has been said in that small paragraph. Let's break it down. Basically, there are several factors that can increase someone's chances of developing schizophrenia. But remember, these are only indicative factors and not the one cause. As I said before, we haven't really been able to identify that one definite cause. Now, all these factors can be categorized into four groups. The first is the genetic factor. We saw earlier that chances of someone developing schizophrenia is between 0.5 to 1% in the general population. But this likelihood of someone developing it increases more than 6 times if they have a close relative, such as a parent or sibling with the disorder. That said, it doesn't mean that if you have a family member with schizophrenia, then the whole family is going to develop it. In fact, there are also people without any genetic predisposition whatsoever who end up developing schizophrenia. So why does science talk about the genetic factors at all when it's not a short thing, Well, the idea is to understand what contributes to increasing someone's chances of it. Since we haven't found one definite cause, all we can do is find out all the contributing factors. And there are many factors that can trigger the onset of schizophrenia. If a person has a genetic predisposition and they are exposed to these triggers, then their chances of developing schizophrenia is much higher than that of someone else who doesn't have the genetic predisposition and is exposed to the exact same triggers. Next is the prenatal factor. There are a growing number of studies that link the stress a mother goes through during pregnancy with schizophrenia being developed in the child at a later age. Some research suggests that it could be related to certain viruses that the mother got exposed to during different trimesters of the pregnancy. Others talk about the food intake or nutrient deficiencies during pregnancy, and so on and so forth. Then we have the environmental factors. And I'm not talking about the physical environment like the air and water around us. It's about the environment in which a child grows up. Some traumatic or extremely stressful experiences in early life can trigger schizophrenia. These could be high pressure to perform better in school, or loss of a beloved family member, or even relationship breakups that in some societies we tend to take so lightly. It could also include conflicting familial environments, for example, domestic violence, or things like bullying and social labeling. Basically, psychological stresses as well as sociocultural challenges that a person goes through can sometimes trigger the disorder. And lastly, there is the substance induced factor. Certain cannabis are known to induce schizophrenia like symptoms, such as hallucinations and delusions. Often people start taking those drugs willingly to experience the state of trance. And if it turns into addiction, over time these could result in acute schizophrenia, the condition where it gets treated and doesn't return when the person stops taking the drug. But in some cases, they may induce a full blown schizophrenia that the person might have to live throughout their lifetime. In essence, it's highly likely that for someone who's already prone to developing schizophrenia, taking these substances could trigger the onset. And if someone doesn't have the predispositions to it, even then the prolonged usage of these substances could result in schizophrenia. Now that you know these factors, are you going down the memory lane to find out what caused it in your loved one? Honestly, I would not suggest doing that. It's good to objectively find causes to make lessons in life, but if it causes you guilt and emotional distress, then there's no point. If all you feel now is sorrow and guilt, then that's not gonna help anyone, not you, not your loved one. People do this all the time, start blaming themselves for the situation their loved one is in. For example, mothers wondering if they had been better at taking care during pregnancy, or both parents wondering if they had been more supportive and not given the childhood trauma to their kid. Or friends could be wondering if they had not exposed their loved friend to those harmful drugs, and so on. All I can say is, please don't do this. Don't beat yourself to it. There are many factors at play here, as we just saw in this video. And while it's generally advised to be compassionate, provide a great environment to children, indulge in good and productive activities while refraining from the harmful ones, it's really not that one thing that you did that caused it. You are not to blame. You might have given the exact same behavior to another person, and that person didn't end up with psychosis. Think of the other sibling or another friend who was exposed to the same situations as your loved one with psychosis. They didn't develop it. Sometimes things just happen and they're out of our control. It's not your fault. It's not so different from physical health either. Having a heart disease isn't down to just one thing. It's a combination of our genes, personality, diet, exercise regime, life choices such as smoking, drinking, and other habits, and prolonged psychological stresses. And sometimes everything is fine, you still end up developing it. Same goes with mental health. Some people are just more prone to schizophrenia, some to depression, some to heart diseases, some others to asthma, and so on. The goal is not to beat yourself down, rather to find out ways to move ahead. The most important and valuable thing that you can do now is to stop focusing on the past and wondering what went wrong. Instead, start focusing on present and find out how could you behave with the person now so that they feel helped by you. How could you build a trustworthy relationship with them? And what can you do now to ensure proper medication and care is available to your loved one? Understanding the problem is only the first step, but then the next important step is to not go down with guilt, which would help no one, not you, not your loved one. So focus on solutioning and moving on instead. I hope this cleared some of the doubts on the matter. In the coming episodes, we'll dig deeper to understand symptoms of schizophrenia on a medical level. See you there.